Samaron. Thank you again for your sub. I'm just realizing that I already called out your name. Slappy Badger, XLAM Legend, Timpius, and Control Alt Complete. Thank you so much for the follows. Thanks for being here. There we go. I think I figured out what the issue there was. So now the question is, if I level up, well, let's try it like this. So if I set my level to level 1, so I'm level 1 now, and I do a fresh summon. Okay, so there may still be some kinks to work out there, but actually, just for science, let's try this. Samaron, great streams, enjoying season 3 at the moment, and the future looks bright. Thank you so much. Really glad to hear that. Really glad to hear that. Just Let Me Play says automatic pet specials that are toggleable is great. WoW uses it to great success. Yeah, I agree. Syria, Joppa, dev-related question. Did the designer of Summoner play a bunch of Final Fantasy XI because it kind of feels like it, which is fantastic. Well, you're looking at the designer of Summoner, and I played like a total of like maybe an hour of Final Fantasy XI. But I'm pretty sure that some of the ideas and some of the feel have seeped in over time. That's just what I imagine to be the case. So, yeah. Stephen says, will pets level up their combat skills like defense, unarmed, dodge, etc.? So those skills will max for the pet as they level up. So whenever a pet gains a level, they will automatically have the max skills that they need for that level. That's the plan for right now anyway. So you won't have to go out and like do training with your pet kind of a thing. And the pet won't be able to get like super far ahead, of its skills kind of a thing. Redbeard with the 1 gifted. Thank you so much. That's awesome, man. Many thanks, my friend. Are we as summoners still going to have some good group utility? Buffs, summonable, consumables, things like that? Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah. The lack of permanence with the perpetuation cost. Yeah. So I'm assuming that means that in Final Fantasy XI, you had to be like constantly spending a resource that you needed to keep your pet active, and once that ran out, the pet went away, kind of thing. Okay. Okay, let me try one more thing now, actually. Now that we've just did one thing about this, if we set this back down to 0 and don't override the pet level, will it now respect the level of the caster? We'll see. Any hints as to the specifics of some of the summoner buffs and consumable summons? Okay, well, so one of the things that is going to definitely be the case with the summoner is the kind of the damage shield prowess. So summoners are going to have the best damage shields, like by a good margin. And some of the other current damage shields will probably be reworked a little bit to make room for that, for headroom. Consumables, there's just a huge gamut of things that they're going to be able to have to summon and use. I don't even want to try to get into listing what all those certainly could be. Obviously, food and drink is going to be a big one, and being able to summon certain utilitarian food and drink beyond just the basic stuff. Obviously, don't want to turn summoners into like a walking kitchen, because we've obviously leaned pretty heavily into food and consumables being important, having lots of wide-ranging effects. So, yeah, but there'll be some of that. There'll be, you know, certain equipment that they can summon that other players can use. Certainly things they can summon for their pets and whatnot. But yeah, we want to just kind of like explore a little bit. We don't want to send them in just right straight down mod rod territory. We want to see if we can come up with some more creative things. Oh, look at this guy, level 33. Well, that fixed it. What does this look like? Oof. Yeah, so that's something that we'll start diving into a little bit, is what getting it to the point where the summoner pet stays stays at the player level. I want to test out some of these pet commands too while we're at it. Not even. Yeah, I was just talking about that earlier. Will we still be able to summon walls and the pocket to escape on a bad pull? Yes, that's still planned. Call the hero is a little bit more of a tricky one. My plan right now is for summoners to be able to use their Call of the Hero equivalent at specific places inside of dungeons. So the summoner would have to actively be there themselves, but then could use that spell to pull other group members to that point, instead of it just being like, pull you anywhere that they are in the zone. So they'd essentially have to borrow some power from a location. When we talk about kind of those natural rest areas, those natural like places along the way in a dungeon that are safe spots and respites where players can kind of set up somewhat of a camp, that there would be things there that summoners specifically could interact with to summon other players to that location. Let me set my level back to 3. Are you there? That's an interesting bug. Do you have to have the... Huh. You don't have to have the pet selected, do you? No. That was interesting. Yeah. I don't know if third time's the charm. Maybe like 12th time's the charm on that one. But we got it. What question did I miss? Sorry. Will summoner pets not be able to hold weapons and armor through death to build your pet with custom gear? If not, can you explain that decision to someone that thought curing your pet was one of the greatest differentiators in Pantheon? I'm not sure I understand the question. Will summoner pets not be able to hold weapons and armor through death? They will. They will be able to hold it through death. I was making that point earlier, that if a pet dies, you can think of the way that we want to set it up is, you can think of it as the pet inventory is kind of like like every time I summon a pet, it has a different name, right? And it's a different entity, so to speak. But the pet inventory isn't like Kikar or Kaikar specific, like the pet that I have right now. It's Titan specific. So whenever I summon a Titan, whatever the Titan gear is the gear that any Titan I summon will have available to it. So yeah, it's not going to be lost every time a pet dies, if that's what you meant. If a summoner's pet's gear is perpetual, doesn't that then place the burden of a summoner needing double the gear of a regular class? To an extent, yeah. I mean, to an extent, it does. And I'm okay with that. Different classes have different upkeeps and different things that they have to do to kind of, progress themselves. And so the key, though, is that summoners naturally are going to gain access to pet equipment abilities and things that they can summon for their pets as they get higher level. So there's a part of that progression that is just very natural to the class. But then there will be, part of like the epic stuff that summoners specifically are looking for in like dropped spells and things like that are, some of those like highest tier rare pet equipment spells that they can learn to get like the very best stuff for their pets. But yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of that going on, and I think that's good. I think that's really good for the class and kind of the sense of like how invested they are in their pet. Yeah, so think of the gear sets as being like archetypical, right? So I have the gear that I have for my Titan. I have the gear I have for my Fury, my Zephyr, my Undyne, and the gear is pet type universal. So the gear that I have for my Titan will not be the same as the gear I have for my Undyne, unless it is. Like in some cases, I'll give the same ones to each one, but then in some cases, just like with player gear, there's going to be gear that you can find, namely through like spells that you find that allow you to summon better quality and things for specific pets. So there might be something that increases the healing that is done, a piece of pet gear that increases the effective healing of the pet. That makes obviously a lot of sense on the water pet, doesn't make as much sense on the earth pet. So I might start having some different things between the pets for that reason. Jimmy Turbo, it's not the same as player gear. No, it is not the same as player gear. It's geared specifically for the Archimental pets. Yep. But it's gear that summoners are able to summon and create for their own pets. And that does not exclude the ability to, craft some of these types of weapons. Or even have them drop from certain NPCs. I mean, obviously, once the Archimental pets are a thing, you're also going to be seeing a lot of like Archimental and Elemental pet or just NPCs in the world, and they getting an item from a drop is also just as viable. Whether you're summoning the item, crafting the item, or looting the item, there are items that will be for pets specifically, and you'd be able to equip your pet with that. Slappy Badger says, are you still hoping to do the idea of being able to summon monsters for Enchanters to charm? Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So you can have pets for them without taking spawns from the XP camp. Yeah. Yeah, summon Behemoth. Not planning on having the summoner pets able to equip normal player gear right now, Ramsey. It's a good question. I know a lot of people are curious about that, but that's not the plan at the moment. Let's see. Let's go to... I guess they haven't switched over to the night guards yet. Plate armored S. Joppa, what role is the summoner in the party? Summoner is DPS. Primary role. There's the night guards. Okay. I was wondering when they were going to spawn. I just want to try something real quick. It's offhand only, isn't it? Yeah. You're level 3, right? Yeah. Let's go back to torch. Oh. No, come back, come back. Look at that. Back off. How are you going to fare against this thing? You're not going to attack it because I'm dead. Let's aggro off. Let's get another one of these out. Plate Armored also asks, will the summoner's pet main tank or off tank? What's the dynamic of that? So what I was saying earlier is... I'll try to say it more concisely and maybe we can clip it and it'll be a better explanation. But unlike in EverQuest, where you would send in your Earth pet and it would have its proc route that it would be doing for aggro, for threat gen, and just auto attacking. In Pantheon, the pets are going to have a series of abilities that can all be either toggled to automatically go off on cooldown, or they can be manually triggered. And so what I said earlier is a Titan pet should be capable of tanking in group content, at least to an off-tank degree, if not main tanking in group content, depending on the quality of the gear that the Titan has and how well the summoner is using the abilities manually to fulfill that role. Meaning timing their taunts, using their taunts on the right NPCs at the right time, timing roots, timing stomps, stuns, the things that Titans are capable of doing. As long as the summoner is skilled enough to use those skills effectively to as a main tank would, then they should have the ability to do that, at least in, at level appropriate group content. A Titan is not ever going to be a replacement for a raid tank, but the Titan should be able to function as a group tank fairly well. And again, the point of that is summoners are meant to be, summoner pets in Pantheon are meant to be kind of an extension and an expression of the summoner themselves. So unlike in EverQuest, where the magician was primarily the one dealing the damage, a lot of times through bolts and, kind of their direct damage spells, summoners will have direct damage spells, but summoners, the majority of the power of a summoner is going to be in their pet. And so whether that's, tanking, whether that's doing damage through the Zephyr and the Fury pets, using the Undine pet as kind of a support to the other pets. That's going to be based on, kind of the summoner's desire, like what role they're wanting to play and whatnot. But the summoners are going to be much more of a pet class in Pantheon, in that a lot of their prowess and their ability is going to come through their pet, both through the way they're gearing the pet up and how they're using the pet in combat. Jimmy Turbo, is an all summoner group something you envision being viable with the current vision? I mean, potentially, to a degree. Yeah. I don't, that's something we'll keep an eye on. Like, obviously, I don't want an all summoner group to be the most efficient group or the most effective group comp, but I don't have like an intrinsic issue with there being a group of summoners that are capable of doing group content, as long as they're accounting for the things that we talked about above. But we'll just have to see how it plays out. A lot of this stuff, MMOs are like the Wild West in terms of what you intend and what ends up being the reality. So we'll see. We shall see.